Today we are going to be making a pancake, but not in the American diner sense. Instead, we are going to be using way less ingredients, making a giant pancake to feed 2 people, and it couldn't be easier if it tried. So the recipe we are making today is from our Big Little Recipes cookbook. I call it a puff pancake. You might know it by German pancake or Dutch baby, which is very adorable. Whatever you call it, it is like the least fussy pancake you will ever make. You need so few ingredients, and instead of standing by the stove, flipping pancake after pancake after pancake, you just pour the batter in a skillet, throw it in the oven, and then that's it. The only ingredients you'll need are eggs, creme fraiche, rye flour, and kale. So if you ever made a Dutch baby before, a lot of recipes use milk. Today we are using creme fraiche. So this is kind of like a butterier cousin to sour cream. They're both really rich and really tangy, but creme fraiche is a bit subtler in its sourness. And here it adds a lot of richness to the Dutch baby batter. And when we dilute it with water, it acts a lot like milk. For this pancake, we are using all rye flour. Now, for baking recipes, maybe you've been told don't use all whole grain flour. I've probably told you that at some point, but here it doesn't actually matter. So most of our batter is actually the eggs. They are doing all the hard work here. The flour, it's such a small amount and it's just kind of rounding out the structure of the pancake. We can get away with using all whole grain flour. And rye flour, it has this nutty, malty, awesome flavor. So there's no need to dilute it with all purpose. We can just add that in and make the flavor of the pancake even better. So we have that in, and now we're adding half a teaspoon of kosher salt and 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground pepper. So one of my favorite things about puff pancakes is that, as you've noticed, we don't need any sugar. So this means it's like a really nice blank canvas for if you want to go savory with your toppings, or if you do want to go sweet, you can do that too. But the pancake itself isn't sweet or cakey in the way that American pancakes are. A lot of recipes use a blender, but you don't actually need one. You can just use a bowl and a whisk. That's it. Now, I know it looks really runny. Like, how could this ever turn into a pancake? But this is just what we want. The batter should be mostly liquidy, and this way it's gonna puff up in the oven. So I am adding 2 tablespoons of butter to the pan. I know it seems like a lot, but the pancake is gonna appreciate it. And once your butter is totally melted, you can pour in your batter. And now we just pop it in the oven, that's it. So I'm just tossing the kale so that all the leaves get a little bit of that butter on them. And then we're gonna cover the skillet. And this will just encourage it to steam. You only need like a minute. This is the perfect time if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel. Click subscribe, this way you get even more Big Little Recipes. So our kale is steamy, which means that it is very shiny. I am going to season it with some salt and pepper. And then we're just gonna let it cook down for a few more minutes. Now, Tuscan kale is like almost always in my fridge. It stays good for a while. And I love how like kind of meaty and hearty it is. But if kale is not your vibe, you could swap in pretty much any green that you like sauteing. You could do spinach, I bet scallions would be really nice. Or if you're not feeling like a vegetable-y thing on top of your pancake, you could even swap in like bacon or prosciutto. Smoked salmon would be really nice. So I really like topping a puff pancake with eggs because you're already using eggs in the batter. So same ingredient, but we get to see it in these two totally different contexts. I'm just gonna sprinkle these with a little salt and pepper. And then I'm gonna cover the pan. This kind of helps cook the whites a little bit if you're doing a sunny side up. Wow, this pepper is so fresh. It's like intense. Okay, these are perfect. The white isn't gooey at all, but the yolk still is very, very runny. So as soon as I hit it with my fork, it's just gonna ooze all over the pancake. So I'm gonna turn off the stove. These can just hang out in the skillet. Leave the cover off so that they don't get too hot, but they're fine to chill here. So our puff pancake is out of the oven. You know it's ready when it is dramatically puffed, which sounds a little vague, but I think you're gonna know when you see it. As soon as it comes out, it starts to fall and it kind of looks like the Grand Canyon, or how I imagine the Grand Canyon. I've never been to the Grand Canyon, but it's like that, right? So two ways that you can go about serving this. You could cut it in half, plop it on your plates and add your toppings there. Or what I'm gonna do, which is just like a little more chill, is you can top it right in the skillet. So first I'm going to add our creme fraiche. So same thing as we had in the batter, we're just spooning more on top. It is so creamy and buttery and good. And now we can sprinkle our kale on top. And then we'll just finish it with an egg. So I'm just adding a little more creme fraiche because it is hard to add too much. This is our rye puff pancake with greens and eggs. The outside has this nice crisp shell from all that butter. The inside is really fluffy. It kind of reminds me of a souffle. We only need a handful of ingredients to make it. As always, the recipe is on food52.com. It's also in my cookbook. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you next week for another big little recipe.